Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the AEW report for the 18th of August, 2021. Not a bad show by any stretch of the imagination, better than some shows they've had recently. And they are hitting a streak where at least a good third to half the show is I won't say can't miss TV, but I will say less missable than other times. At the same time, there are people on this program that don't belong there, but I think you're going to see that with any national company. We open with John Moxley and Eddie Kingston making their entrance, but they're jumped by 2.0 and Daniel Garcia, speaking of people that don't belong. They're rejects, 2.0 anyway. Rejects off of NXT, why are they here? Matt Lee grabs the mic and turns to taunted Darby Allin Sting. Lights go out. Sting and Allin make their entrance. Darby Allin's music hit. He uses the skateboard to get an advantage over his adversaries. Texas Tornado, Sting, and Darby Allin defeat 2.0 Matt Lee and Jeff Parker with Daniel Garcia. They brawl into the crowd. They hit the two for the show finish on Darby into the concrete of the concourse. They drag Sting back to the ring. Allin bounced out and rolls out. Kingston appears, takes Garcia out to even the odds, and Darby and Sting produce a table 2.0 and then set up into the ring. Suplex Darby onto his own skateboard. Ouch. And Sting fought off both 2.0 members. Goes for the 10 punches in the corner. Parker cuts him off. Turned it into a double powerbomb through the table. Sting no-souls it and stands right back up. And Darby drop kicks them both into the perfect Scorpion Death Drop position. Sting hits it before locking them in simultaneous double submission. It's fine. It's a fun match. I don't know that I would take Sting and throw him in third level WWE, on national television. I get it on one hand in that you want to use the guy, but I would have saved him for a pay-per-view or at least a angle-driven thing. Anyway, earlier there were Dark Elevation tapings, and Sammy Guevara proposed to his girlfriend. She said yes. The camera cuts the promo from Sean Spears and Tully Blanchard. Spears said that he'd bet Guevara's new fiancée will be an honorary team in the Pinnacle for one night. I don't know. The whole propose to my girlfriend thing just reeks of the participation trophy society we live in now. I'm not a fan. I don't think that should be part of a national television broadcast. You want to do it in an indie show, that's fine. Everybody knows each other, that's cool. But national television, propose to your girlfriend, stupid. Anyway, Spears attacks during the entrance. Guevara is ready for him, hits a flip dive on the ramp ringside. Guevara beats Spears down and sent into the ring steps. Tully gives Spears an assist on a stuffed pile driver. Match starts and Spears and Tully go for the pile driver again. Tully is ejected. Spears continues beating down Guevara and taunts the fiancée of Spears. During the break, Spears sets up the barricade between the ring and security railing on the outside. Spring to the top rope. Spears flips him off and Guevara hits top rope cutter for a near fall. Spears then counters his top rope Rana into an avalanche C4 for another near fall. Guevara escapes and hits another C4 attempt on the apron. Spears popped up barricade and hits Death Valley driver on the floor. He then climbs to the top rope and hits 630, but Spears kicks out. Guevara pulls down his knee pad, hits a bunch of knees, then hits the GTH and gets a win over Spears. This makes sense. Anyway, after the match, Guevara hits and his fiancée make out on national television. This is acceptable for a lesser generation, but honestly, it's just stupid. Anyway, Christian Cage is in the ring with Tony Schiavone, and he's immediately interrupted by Callis, who gives Christian his first break 25 years ago. He congratulates Christian on his win and saying Omega would win anyway. Christian said that he's in Omega's head now, and Omega is terrified. He's going to take the AEW World Championship and ultimately insults Callis. It's weak. Anyway, video packagers of Dante Martin's performances in the big six-man tag match. He said he took Omega to the absolute limit, and he's going to keep rising up the ranks. Dan Lambert is there with Junior Del Santos and Andrei Arlovsky. He's in the ring with Tony Schiavone. He says he's been silenced and called millennials soft and triggered. He's then said that Dos Santos and Arlovsky are ready to fight. AEW is not the answer to your professional wrestling prayers. He said that AEW roster is full of wannabe tough guys who can't wrestle. Fans are only here because it's the only good part of their lives. I actually love this promo, and I think they could go somewhere with it if they actually wanted to. Lance Archer interrupts, but is attacked from behind by Scorpio Sky, Nick and Page, and the Men of the Year. Chris Jericho's backstage. He's overcome adversity before tonight, and tonight he wins his prize. He may not be able to use his Judas effect, but 5,000 fans in attendance will sing him to the ring. Tonight, Jericho finally gets his revenge. Jericho up, and my MJF is down. Don Callis joins the commentary team for the World Tag Team Championship match, and of course, the Bucks, who don't care about wrestling at all, put themselves over, and they have the Good Brothers with them, and Brandon Cutler defeating Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus with Marco Stunt. Nick makes fun of Jungle Boy with some goofy gymnastics early. Jungle Boy takes him out with a dive. Jungle Boy hits a springboard arm drag and a lariat before nailing Luchasaurus. Matt tags in, but immediately is taken down with a chop. Luchasaurus catches a crossbody and turns it into a power slam for near fall. Jungle Boy tags back in. The Bucks try to overwhelm him, but it doesn't work. They do a run off the apron to the floor. Matt takes out Jungle Boy with a running drop kick before landing a corner dive on Luchasaurus out to the floor. Bucks maintain control through the commercial. Upon return, Jungle Boy hits a rebound lariat and gets a hot tag to Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus fights off both Bucks, but then eats a knee before escaping, follows up and hitting a double clothesline. Nick fights out with a chokeslam and hits a Gamagiri, but Luchasaurus crotches him over the ropes, and Jungle Boy hits a superplex on Luchasaurus' shoulder for a near fall. Brandon Cutler tries to interfere, but Luchasaurus hits the tail whip and a cyclone kick and a double choke slam on the Bucks before an assisted cutter and gets a near fall. Jungle Boy runs interference with a dive to the outside. Young Bucks counter Jurassic Express finisher and hits a double super kick on Jungle Boy. They hit the Indy Taker on Jungle Boy for a near fall. Stunt tries to fire up Jungle Boy, but Kenny Omega whacks him with a chair. Distractions, and the Young Bucks use the chair to win. Christian runs out and fights off Omega. They fight to the back. Jungle Boy hits a brainbuster on the chair. Nick breaks up the pin. Last second, Jurassic Express hits a Thoracic Express finisher, but Nick breaks it up at the last second again. Jungle Boy fights off all the corner men before Luchasaurus hits a moonsault into the pile, and Nick pushes Matt out of the backslide, and the Bucks turn it into a BTE triggers for the win. I'm not a fan of this. It's goofy. There's a bunch of spots, and honestly, 20 years ago, the Bucks couldn't even get off indie shows, but now the standards for wrestling are so low they're on national television. After the match, the Elite beat down Jurassic Express and Christian. Callis gets a stomp for good measure before Omega hits one-winged angel on Christian. Then we go to Britt Baker, DMD, and Rebel. They're with Schiavone backstage. Baker brings out the return Jamie Hayter. Hayter said she and Baker go way back. Ask Red Velvet and Chris Statlander what it's like at the end of my boots, and she dares Velvet to face her next week. Baker said gold isn't Velvet's color and that they'll have some fun in Milwaukee next week. Video package recapping Matt Hardy and Orange Cassidy feud. Hardy said he wasn't trying to pick on Wheeler Yuta. He's an equal opportunity butt kicker, and if Orange continues to stick his nose in Hardy's business, he'll break it off his face. And Orange speaks long enough to say, let's find out. Paul White brought to the ring by Schiavone. Schiavone thanks White for coming to his aid last week. White said that it's amazing to be back in the ring. He's a huge announcement, but QT Marshall comes out with Nick Kanemaru and Aaron Solo interrupting with Houston, we have a problem. QT says here in AEW, we don't get fans excited just to let them down. Wright wasn't having any of this. QT said there's a reason Wright was hired as an announcer, not a wrestler. He puts an x-ray on the screen, and that White has a scar on his hip. White fires up, says he wasn't embarrassed, and that QT doesn't know anything. He talks with Tony Khan last week and will face QT at All Out. I guess this is fine. If you want to get a bump, I actually would put this match on television. People might tune in for the big show. I don't think anyone's going to buy a pay-per-view for one, though. Jade Cargill and Mark Sterling cut a promo. Sterling is impressed with Kiera Hogan on Dark. Cargill will face Hogan on Rampage. Cargill said that it's fun to see how Miro treated Fuego del Sol last week, and that's what will happen to Hogan on Friday. A leader backstage with Shivani. Shivani said Tony Khan's had enough, and there will be a tag team eliminator tournament with the winner facing off against the Young Bucks at All Out in a steel cage. Why are we throwing away a cage match? Taz and Hook introduced Ricky Starks for his entrance. Starks says he'd bring up Brian Cage to talk. Camera cuts backstage. Powerhouse Hobbs is standing over Cage. Cage and Hobbs continue to fight. Team Taz heads backstage. Death Triangle's backstage with Tony Schiavone. Lucha Brothers will be in the Tag Team Eliminator Tournament, which I hate. Why? It just proves they claim to have the best tag team division in the world, but they don't even book it well enough that they are less than a month away from pay-per-view and they don't even have challengers. Pac will face Andrade at All Out, and All Out will be in the same arena where Pac beat Kenny Omega with 2 weeks' notice. Andrade and Chavo walked up, and Andrade said Pac needed to agree to their conditions, which were a giant ream of paper. Chavo said that if Lucha Brothers win the tournament, they will never be champions as long as they work for Pac. Thunder Rosa defeating Penelope Ford. What a waste of Thunder Rosa when they do have talented women on the roster, and Ford's just another pretty face. And so they're both ranked in the top 5 of the women's division. Rosa hits a shotgun dropkick early, attacks Ford in the corner, drop kicks Ford on the floor, but Ford pushes her into the ring. Once back, Rosa hits a corner clothesline and double knees, followed by a running dropkick. Butterfly suplex for Rosa, gets a near fall and hits the Fire Thunder Driver, but Ford counters and goes for a Muda lock. Ford turns it into pinning predicament, but Rosa kicks out and locks on the single leg crab. Rosa spins around and hits the Death Valley Driver for a near fall. Ford gets the Muda lock on again, but Rosa fights out and locks in a modified sleeper for submission. Arn and Brock Anderson backstage with Shivani. Arn said that he's emotional. When Mikhail Black appeared, turned their world upside down. Brock has a match with him next week. Arn warned Brock that he'd hurt him. Brock said, with all due respect, I'm not asking. Anyway, the match is for Rampage. First Dance Tag Team Eliminator Jurassic Express Private Party. Jurassic Express better win this. Jade Cargill, Kiera Hogan, and Jon Moxley versus Daniel Garcia. Next week's Dynamite lineup. Tag Team Eliminator Lucha Brothers Varsity Blondes. Jamie Hayter, Red Velvet. Orange Cassidy, Matt Hardy, and Mikhail Black, Brock Anderson. Miro promo plays. He does not forgive Fuego del Sol for accepting something he's entitled to. He serves God every day, and he has a hot wife every night. And Eddie Kingston, the Redeemer, wants to talk. I'm not a fan of this at all. Anyway, we move towards the main event segment. But before that, Jon Moxley's backstage. He's been thinking about everyone coming to AEW. He ran down top stars and mentions Christian, the members of the Elite, and Hangman Page. Moxley is the guy who carried the company through uncertain times. He says it's about time to send a message about the food chain in AEW, and he will main event Rampage against Daniel Garcia, but Garcia showed to ask what he really wants because he ain't no joke, and Jericho comes out with no music, but the audience sings his song anyway. MJF defeats Chris Jericho, finally a payoff that makes sense. Jericho cannot use Judas Effect. He takes down MJF to start and hits a springboard dropkick followed by a plunge to the floor. MJF sends Jericho into the barricade, and grabs the ringside camera, making fun of Jericho. Camera is panned and Jericho punches it and places MJF on his back. MJF attacks Jericho's arm, regains control ahead of the commercial. Jericho comes back with clotheslines upon the return. MJF has resumed attacks on Jericho's arm after a minor comeback by Jericho. And then there is a cross chop before a lion salt followed by a near fall. Keeps up the offense, and then there's some clotheslines. Brings MJF to the top rope, lands 10 punches, and top rope Rana. Once MJF kicks out, he immediately locks in the Salt of the Earth armbar. After a fight, Jericho rolls through and applies the walls of Jericho. MJF counters it quickly and comes up with a kick to break the hold. Trade punches, and then MJF snaps Jericho's arm. Over the top rope, hits a heat seeker. MJF low blows him, and when the official couldn't see it, and locks on a lion tamer. Jericho digs in and crawls to the ropes. MJF tries to grab Dynamite Diamond Ring, but the official sees it. Jericho hits MJF with Floyd the Bat, but instead hesitated on the Judas Effect. MJF hits the Judas Effect and locks on the Salt of the Earth. Jericho makes one attempt at Cradle to break it, but MJF gets the submission victory. Overall, not a bad show. I'd say 50-50. Some good stuff, some useless stuff, but on top of having too much talent, AEW at least does try to give a compelling product every week, unlike most of the WWF product, or WWE product, sorry. We'll be back with more right after this.